If you're worried about clearing the VA cutoff in the IPMAT, then this video is definitely for you. Now, let's take a look at a few numbers. In 2023, the VA cutoff was 125. Total, there were about 45 questions, and one would be expected to attempt somewhere between 40 to 42 questions in order to clear that cutoff. The year before that, the VA cutoff was a little bit lower, it was about 112, but then the section was also slightly more difficult. So we don't really know what the next exam is going to have for us. The best we can do is to attempt the maximum possible questions based on the relative difficulty of the test. So as of now, let's work with this number of 125. How do I attempt about 40 or 42 questions out of 45? It seems like a tall order, but it's not really that difficult. Let's try to break down that section and understand how it can be done. The VA section typically has about 2 passages with about 400 to 450 words. Each passage has about 6 questions, so that's a total of 12 RC-based questions. Student feedback tells us that on the whole, these questions were fairly manageable. If you read the passage, you would get the answer to most of these questions. Now, in addition to RC, there are about 4 to 5 questions on para completion, para jumbles, and some sentence correction or grammar questions as well. In addition, there could be somewhere between 6 to 7 questions of the vocabulary filler type, otherwise known as fill in the blanks. Now here it seems that it might be complicated because there were sentences with multiple blanks, but again, the student feedback said that most of the times the answer was pretty obvious. So that makes a total of about 32 or 33 questions which were on the simpler side. Now, of course, we're not assuming here that you answer all of these 32 questions, but even if you answered somewhere around 30 with a fair degree of accuracy, maybe about 28 to 29, then you would get close to a target of about 110 marks, which is pretty high. Now, how do I get from 110 to 125? This is where the challenge arrives for most students. The questions that students struggle the most with are either related to phrases or idioms, or they are word usage questions. Now, this is understandable because there is no fixed syllabus. We cannot really tell you that these are the only phrasal verbs or idioms that will be tested. And when it comes to word usage, again, the syllabus is fairly unlimited. So, how do I get to this number of 125? Well, again, of the remaining 11 to 12 questions, we don't expect you to answer all of them. But even if you can answer about 5 to 6 with a fair degree of accuracy, then the job is done. So how do you answer those 5 to 6 questions? Well, we have given you the resources for it. Please go through your vocabulary and usage book, not once, not twice, but at least 3 times before your exam. Again, it does not have to be done on one day. Start reading it today. Do 2 pages today, another 2 pages tomorrow, or you can even go section-wise or chapter-wise if that is more convenient for you. But make sure that you have gone through the book at least 3 times. If you can manage 4, that would be best. The reason that we're asking you to do it multiple times is that forgetting is a part of human nature. So the more times you go through the list, the more likely that you are to retain it. Now, in addition to that, if you can supplement your efforts with some reading, then you will also become familiar with word usage. So your vocabulary and usage book combined with some degree of daily reading should definitely help you cover at least some of those difficult 11 to 12 questions. And before you know it, not only would you have gotten 125 marks, but perhaps even 130 or 140. So I wish you all the best in your efforts. Start today so that it's not a challenge at the end.